how 21-year-old airman at the Massachusetts Air National Guard could have access to all this information. Why did he do it? And what is the damage assessment? I've been to Saudi Arabia. I'm in Israel. I can promise you it's been very damaging. There's information about Mossad supposedly helping the protesters. There's information about the air defense capability of Ukraine. And everybody in the region's really worried because who wants to share information with the United States if you're going to read about it in the paper or find it on the internet? So this has done a lot of damage to us in the region.
I mean, you were an Air National Guardsman. Are you surprised that such a junior Air National Guardsman had access to this kind of information?
I was a captain and a major. I would be surprised if I had that kind of information. Yes, the system failed. This is a major failure. And those who are trying to sugarcoat this on the right, you cannot allow a single individual of the military intelligence community to leak classified information because they disagree with policy. I don't know what led to this airman's actions, but he's done a lot of damage to our standing. It's very hard to get people to come forward right now to tell us about things we need to know about if they feel like they're going to be compromised. The sources and methods of how we collect on adversaries have been compromised, and I am stunned that somebody at that level could have so much access. So the question is, how did he get it and why did he do it? And some people need to be fired over this.
I mean, as you mentioned, there are some on the right that are not only sugarcoating it, but actually applauding him.
Yeah.
I mean, take a look at what Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted. She said, Jack Teixeira is white, male, Christian, and anti-war. That makes him an enemy to the Biden regime. And he told the truth about troops being on the ground in Ukraine and a lot more. I mean, Tucker Carlson's kind of turning him into a hero. What do you make of that? Why?
What they're suggesting will destroy America's ability to defend itself. That it's okay to release classified information based on your political views, that the ends justify the means. It is not okay. If you're a member of the military intelligence community and you disagree with American policy and you think you're going to be okay when it comes to leaking classified information, you're going to go to jail. It's one of the most irresponsible statements you can make. The ability for America to gather intelligence from human resources on the ground has been compromised. We can't have a chaotic intelligence gathering system. If you give us information and it's disclosed, you can lose your life. The way we gather intelligence protects our country. There are military members serving today from Georgia and other places who are less safe because of what this airman did. There is no justification for this. And for any member of Congress to suggest it's okay to leak classified information because you agree with the cause is terribly irresponsible and puts America in serious danger.
So let's turn to the confusion over the various rulings on the abortion pill. I've heard you for years rail against judicial activism, saying that, judges shouldn't be basically legislating from the bench. So what do you make of this? A single judge in Texas single-handedly upending the legal status of the abortion pill.
Yeah, I don't like a district court judge issuing a national decree, even if I agree with the judge. And what the judge held here is that the Federal Drug Administration didn't follow their own rules. So the Biden administration is trying to send the abortion pill through the mail. There's a statute on the books called the Comstock Act that prohibits sending abortion materials through the mail. That's going to go all the way to the Supreme Court. So I think the radical abortion policies of the Biden administration are wrong. But at the end of the day, we're a rule of law nation, and let's see what the Supreme Court does with this. But the decision by the Biden administration, Jonathan, to allow the pill to be sent through the mail violates an existing statute on the books.
What do you make of Florida? DeSantis has now signed a 6-week ban. Is that going to complicate his efforts to become president of the United States should he become a candidate? To have a 6-week ban that's far more aggressive than what you've proposed.
Right. So under my legislation, states can be more restrictive, but at 15 weeks, we limit abortion on demand. My Democratic colleagues are not what you said. They have supported legislation allowing abortion on demand, taxpayer funded up to the moment of birth. DeSantis will have to answer the question, do you support a national ban at 6 weeks? Why did you pick 6 weeks? The legislative body of Florida supported what he did. This is an issue worth talking about. Should we be a nation that allows abortion on demand up to the moment of birth with taxpayer-funded money, or should we have limits at 15 weeks like Europe? Should we be like North Korea and China, or should we be more like Europe nationally? Should states have the right to regulate abortion up to a point? These are issues that matter. Should young girls be able to play sports with biological males? The policy of the Biden administration is to allow young children, minor children, to transition, to have their life turned upside down, to allow medical procedures to change gender before you get 18 years of age. All of these issues will be on the ballot, and they should be.
And Senator, you were just in Saudi Arabia. You met with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, MBS as he is known.
Yeah.
But I remember how highly critical you were of him after the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, the Washington Post columnist. Let's take a listen to what you had to say back in 2018.
I can never do business with Saudi Arabia again until we get this behind us.
Right. And what does that mean?
That means I'm not going back to Saudi Arabia as long as this guy's in charge. The Crown Prince is a wrecking ball. I think the behavior before the Khashoggi murder was beyond disturbing, and I cannot see him being a reliable partner to the United States.
So you said he was beyond toxic. You would never return to Saudi while he was in charge. So what happened? What changed?
Right. Well, a couple things happened. Number one, I've been talking with the Biden administration about working with Saudi Arabia to build on the reforms they're doing in their country and to build on the Abraham Accords. If you get nothing else out of this interview, things in Saudi Arabia are changing very quickly for the better. I see a chance to normalize the relationship between the United States, Saudi Arabia, and Israel that would be transformative for the region. Saudi Arabia purchased $36 billion worth of 787 Boeing jets made in Charleston, South Carolina. They picked the Boeing 787 over the Airbus. I came over here to say thanks to Saudi Arabia. They're thinking about buying more jets, and I also came over to caution them about getting too cozy with China and Iran. But Vision 2030 of the Crown Prince is real. Women can drive for the first time in modern Saudi history. Women can go out to dinner without a male escort. His vision for the country economically is transformative. $1 trillion is going to be spent to modernize Saudi Arabia. I'd like to be part of that transition. What I saw in Saudi Arabia was a game changer for me. I want to build on the progress, but I want to have an honest, candid relationship. There are things that need to change in Saudi Arabia. But, Jonathan, the ability to work with Saudi Arabia is at an all-time high. If we could normalize relationships with Saudi Arabia and then with Israel, build upon the Abraham Accords, it'd be the biggest change in my lifetime regarding Mideast security and America's security.